Thank you so much for tuning in to Mom Jeans, trying to fit into motherhood.
Welcome to Mom Jeans, the podcast. We are your hosts. I am Lisa. I am a girl mom to 2 girls.
And I'm Danielle. I'm a mom. I'm about to be a mom to 2 boys. I have one right now.
Yes.
And one in the oven.
In the oven.
In the oven.
How far along are you now?
Tomorrow I'll be 20 weeks. So I got my anatomy scan today, and they got most of everything. They weren't able to get, I think, the front of the chest, but everything else they got. It's definitely a boy.
So do you have to go back? Definitely
a boy? Yeah, in 4 weeks. Yeah. Yeah, Ryan has had his hopes up that the blood test was wrong. It was not. Yeah, definitely. There's no questioning that. But yeah, I'll have to go back in 4 weeks to get the rest of the anatomy scan. He was just like not wanting to move. I mean, you could see him moving, but he wouldn't flip the right way. But he had the hiccups too. You could see he had the hiccups. I can't feel the hiccups yet. Let's see. They said my placenta's on the front. So like, that's why maybe I'm not feeling outward kicks as much. And I did feel one the other day.
Both of my girls were that way.
Yeah. I told Ryan, I was like, it's to protect the new baby from Weston, because I literally will lay him on the bed to change his diaper and he like kicks off my belly and I'm like, or like body slams into me. It's for the extra protection. Yeah. I'm trying to think what else today, but that's pretty much it.
How are you feeling?
Feeling pretty good. Just
good.
Tired here and there.
Yeah.
And a little anxious, but
okay. How are you feeling about the doctors there?
They're great. I'm actually kind of sad that I probably, hopefully won't give birth here. I mean, there'll be 4 of us in one room that way. But they're actually midwives. I decided to go with midwives instead of the physician, because they're more, the whole facility is on board with VBACs. If you don't know what that is, it's vaginal birth after cesarean or C-section. So they're all for that, because I do want to try for that. They also have like birthing tubs too in their facility.
Nice.
Or like tubs, yeah. So it's just like, I feel like I'd be a good fit there, but I probably most likely won't be there, depending where Ryan gets a job and where we end up moving. But I might look into midwives elsewhere. Because they still give, like, you can have the midwife that does the home birth and stuff, but these are the ones that are like in the hospital. And so they're still working with doctors and like will consult and all the things. So maybe a different route. Yeah.
That's really interesting, because I was just watching a story, an Instagram story of Emily Oster's, and she was like, the number one thing I can tell you that you should do when you're going to give birth is to have a doula, which I consider not midwives the same, but they advocate for you and have plans with you, which I think is such a cool thing. And I still am like, man, a part of me really wishes that I would have known about doulas before giving birth, because I think like before giving birth to Hannah, because by the time, maybe I wouldn't have had a C-section if I had a doula. I don't know that. But then our doctor didn't allow VBAC. So I was like, there's no point of getting a doula when I'm just going to get a C-section again. So like, what's the point of that? But I did think that was really interesting. And I know some people here, like, I think all the people I know here had doulas or a midwife. And one of my friends in January had a baby. She had a midwife deliver at home. She had her first daughter at home as well. And her daughter was 2 weeks late. And then her second daughter, they were 9 hours away from having to be transferred to the hospital because she was so late. Mm-hmm. And that's like against the midwife rule here. Like you can only go a certain length. And she was like, man, I'm so glad I didn't have to end up going to the hospital and my baby came, because that was not what I envisioned for myself. And I was like, oh, it's interesting.
I would love to talk to your friend. We should have her on
Yeah.
about
I
a
can
home
ask her if
birth.
she wants to come on sometime.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Because like,
Yeah.
I want to be brave enough to do it. I'm not. I'd rather be in a hospital setting. But
Yeah.
I also want to try to do as like at least, or my brain is not working today. I'm sorry, but the smallest amount of medical intervention that I can. The least amount. That's what I'm trying to say. If I
That's
can.
good.
We'll see when we get there. Pain is just a different story, though. When you're in it, it's just like, I don't know. I need all the pain meds. I need an epidural. So we'll see.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. Like, I think that's such a cool plan. I was gonna say something else and then it totally slipped my mind. So maybe
I'm rubbing off on
contagious. The
yeah.
contagious, yeah.
No, but I do remember the other thing I was gonna say. So he's weighing in at 14 ounces, so almost a pound, and I think they said it was like the 98th or 99th percentile.
Wow.
So he's ahead of schedule. I'm like, great. I'm gonna have a Bryce baby, which Bryce is my brother-in-law, who was almost like a 10-pound baby. So
yeah.
Ryan was normal. My husband was a normal size baby. Weston was a normal size, and so this one might have Bryce genes. I don't know. Big old baby, because he's weighing in big. So like for the normal amount, I think I looked at average is like 9 to 10 at 20 weeks.
Oh boy. Well,
keep you updated on that. Yeah. Like maybe just hit a growth spurt. I was like, or maybe it's all the ice cream and sugar that I'm eating.
No,
I ate better
of course
with
not.
Weston.
Of course not. You know, it's so funny. Like when we were thinking about what we were going to do for the podcast today, I was like, man, I have so many ideas for reels that I want to like keep putting up and all that stuff. But I was like, you know, it's kind of fun to talk about them on here too. And I was laughing because, so I was thinking about like people with a lot of kids, like 4 kids, whatever. And I was like, so Hannah today stayed home sick. And I was like, man, it's crazy. I only have 2 kids and I like always have this worry like, oh, they're going to get called home from school for whatever reason, they're sick or whatever. And I'm like, I can't even imagine having 4 kids and then they get called home and I'm like trying to have my job. Like I didn't go to either of my jobs today. And it's like, it's so stressful when you have a lot of work to do. And I just give so much credit. And Brandon was out of town yesterday. So I did bedtime for both of them alone yesterday. And I was like, man, people who do this alone are incredible. Like that do it alone all the time. And there's never going to be somebody come in and back you up and all that kind of stuff. And it was like, oh man, they're amazing, amazing people, you know, like I love it. I mean, I love that I have a partner. I'm so lucky that I don't have to go through that. And I was thinking about this because I think it was last week, Friday, maybe Saturday. A girl from my high school passed away from cancer, and is leaving behind 2 young kids. I don't know for sure. Like I haven't kept up with her since high school and I just started catching wind about her being really sick, like a couple of days before she passed, but her name was Hannah. And a big reason why we liked the name Hannah and I liked the name Hannah. Like I kept going through names and I'd be like, nope, that person was mean to me in high school. Nope, that person did not live the life I want my kid to live. You know, nope. And then we got to Hannah and I was like, oh my gosh, I loved the girl Hannah at my school that I was, you know, I was like not close friends with, but I was enough that we would like hang out on occasion and stuff like that. And she just like had the most infectious smile. She was the happiest person, like always laughing and just a great force. And I was talking to Brandon about it and I was like, I just can't even imagine that happening to him or vice versa. Like, what would you do? Because you're essentially that person's has been sick for a while too. And like she was writing on her GoFundMe page up until a week before she passed. And the week before she passed, she's like, you know, none of these clinical trials will take me because essentially she was too far along in her cancer. Like it just was like not going to work. And she's like, I'm still packing lunches. Like I'm still putting the kids to bed. I'm still doing all these things. Like I just can't, I can't figure out why they want me to give up, why they want me to go, you know? And I found out then she was in the hospital, like just having breathing problems. Essentially her body was shutting down and couldn't fight anymore. And it's like, she was just a week ago packing lunches, and then it just goes so fast. And I wonder if, she fought so hard, obviously, for the kids, but it's like, it just breaks my heart that her kids won't remember her. Like, they're so young.
Yeah.
And we're lucky we're in the day and age where you have videos, right, of your
Yeah.
parent. But like, it just breaks my heart. And it really was like wrecking me for days. And I was like, I don't know what I would do. I don't know how I would handle that. Especially when you're the husband, now you have the two kids by yourself. You're in mourning.
Right.
And you have these two kids. Like, I just kept like crying, thinking about the kids asking for their mom. Like, why isn't mommy here? Why isn't mommy reading me the book tonight to go to bed? It's like, oh,
That's so
why does it have to
sad.
be like that? Right?
Yeah. That's terrible. Yeah. I can't even imagine like what you do in that situation, or like, I don't know. I have morbid thoughts like that sometimes. Like, if I go,
Oh, yeah.
Weston will never remember me. Like,
Yes. All the time.
will he just be saying, "Mommy, mommy," and I never
Yeah.
come? Like, that's
Yes.
terrible to think about that, but I don't know why my brain works that way, but
No,
yeah.
I mean, I'm the same way. And I think about that, like, in the sense of like a partner or whoever's now the caretaker hearing that, and they're mourning and they're in a lot of pain, and they're hearing that over and over and over again. Like, they want you too. Like,
Yeah.
it just like, oh, it just guts me to think about the kids' lives, forever are changed. The course of their life is forever changed. Even say the husband finds somebody else in the next 2 years, 5 years, whatever, that person that takes the partner role isn't going to mother the same way that the mom was, right? Like, even if they're a fantastic mom, they're different people, right? Things are different. Yeah. So it's like, I just like, oh man, it's just been a spiral of mine. But I was having a conversation with my coworker, and I was telling her, I was like, yeah, she had or had a genetic mutation that made her more susceptible to cancer. It's just because, so she had cancer 6-7 years ago, and then went into remission, and then it came back, and she had 2 kids in that span of time. And my coworker was like passionately upset about it. She's like, I think that is such a selfish, terrible thing to have kids when you know that you could be passing that genetic mutation on to those kids, that they could go through cancer now because they have that as well. And I like, it gave me that whole moral, like, gosh, that's really difficult to look at it that way, because like, I didn't always want kids, but now that I have kids, and I wouldn't want it any other way. And even if I knew that I could pass because of this genetic mutation, like, I don't want to not be able to have kids. But what is the solution then? Just not have your own kids and adopt? Like, I don't know. How do you feel about that whole situation? Do you think, I don't know. I guess it wasn't on my table, so I don't know.
I don't know. And that's like a chance. There's a chance, but there's ways that you can live your life if you know that you're susceptible, like that you can get cancer or like Alzheimer's or any of those diseases that are like terrible, that you try to do everything you can to not like live a lifestyle that's gonna, I mean, if that makes any sense, causes cancer and things. I wouldn't give up your dream of having kids though. So for me, I feel like maybe selfishly I would have kids, but then also try to lead a lifestyle that's going to help prevent some of those diseases if possible. I know you can't, like, you can be the healthiest person and still get cancer, but it's hard. And I guess it depends who you are and your morals and things and your values. But, I have values of having a family, raising a family. So I don't know. Like,
I also think too, like, I don't know. Like I said, I didn't have contact with her after high school. So it's like, I don't know. Like, I know she met her husband in college. And at that point, she probably either didn't know she was going to get cancer, or she didn't know whether she had that genetic mutation. Like maybe her parents had it. I don't know that answer, right? But
Yeah.
like on a personal level, like I didn't do genetic testing with Hannah because I was talking to my doctor and she was like, listen, are you going to keep the baby no matter what? And I was like, yeah. And she's like, so what's the point? Then you're going to sit there and stress about all that, right? And I was like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we got to Aubrey, to having Aubrey, my doctor was like, wouldn't you want to know and prepare yourself for whatever is going to come your way? And I was like, I guess so. So I had it, and it was like, but I was like, man, what if I like found out then that I had some genetic thing that I didn't even know I had? Because like, it's not like, you get hooked up to a diagnostic machine like they do for an engine and be like, hey, what are all the things that could be wrong with you?
Yeah.
Like that's something that I think would be very difficult as well. Like,
Right.
if I don't know, then I don't know, right? So I don't
Mm-hmm.
know if she knew, or even if she did, it doesn't matter on her personal level. But man,
Yeah.
that's been a really interesting one for me to think about, because I can't imagine my life without kids, right? Like at this
Right.
point, obviously we're in the thick of things. We're 3 and 1 year old. They're so young, and I love it. I have a hard time with it. There was an Instagram reel floating out there, and I'm like terrible with pop culture. Like I don't know pop culture at all. Is her name, do you know Chappell? Is it Chappell Roan? I think that's her name.
I
But
don't
she
know.
was saying, I don't think she has kids, but she said that all of her friends that have kids are completely miserable. Like they just have terrible lives. They hate their lives. They're so miserable. It's kind of like along the lines of when we were talking about the Surgeon General saying that
Yeah.
kids are like a danger to your health or whatever. But
Right.
I was like, and I was talking to Michelle about it, and I was like, she wrote this huge thing on her Instagram. Michelle did, like, I completely disagree with this. I think this is terrible. Like that anybody would say that. And I was like, well, okay, here's the thing. Like, I'm talking to people that have kids, or that people that don't have kids, but they're very close to me. They're close friends of mine.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm mostly complaining. So I can
That's true.
see, right? Like
Yeah.
I could see where if you're a non-kid person, like, oh my gosh, they sound miserable. Like they're never
Yeah.
sleeping. The kids are always sick. There's always something going on. There's always something to worry about. I could see where like a parent person's like, oh yeah, yes, we go through these struggles, but we also have enormous, enormous joys. Like it's awesome, right? Like, but I think you're hearing the bad. You don't hear as much of the good as you hear of the bad, but that's what you have your friends for, is to lean on. And I just think that that's such an interesting sentiment. And I think people are really outraged and really upset that this girl or person, I don't know who they are. I'm sorry. I'm terrible with pop culture. I'm really sorry. But anyway, we talked about it with the Surgeon General warning, and I don't disagree
Yeah.
with the Surgeon General warning that it can be detrimental to your health if you're looking at it. Is a studies show that lack of sleep is horrible for you, like
Mm-hmm.
horrible for you. I totally agree. Like if you're just looking at that, yes, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah, they can be detrimental to your health.
Yeah,
And
but think about all the people that
yeah,
play video games and stay up all night and not getting sleep, or they're
yeah,
working late and working because they don't have kids, so they can like work into the middle of the night and they're not getting sleep. So it's not just us who have kids. I mean, my mom
no,
has all the dogs upstairs, including mine, because we can't fit the dogs in our room right now. So I have 4
yeah.
dogs up there that wake them up in the middle of the night. And she was like, I have to wake up like 2:30 or 3 and let the dogs out. Or my little dog and her little dog. And I was like, I wish I could sympathize with you, but I was up last night changing poopy diarrhea diapers, like,
Yeah.
and feeding my son ice chips just to keep him hydrated.
I do think I also saw an article today that said new study reveals potential health risk of marriage, and that adults over age 50 found that those who were widowed, divorced, or never married had a lower risk of developing dementia than their married counterparts. And I was like, I mean,
Because
honestly, like,
they have to remember everything on their own. They don't have someone else to tell them where their keys are.
That's a great point. Because there was a podcast, I think I talked about it on this podcast previously, that like cab drivers in New York City are known to have less dementia because they like remember where they're going and they remember all the streets, and it's really good for your memory. And I'm like, well, I am in a lot of trouble. Because yeah, same thing. Like I'm trying now to like consciously be like, all right, every single day I'm putting my phone, wallet, and keys in the exact same spot instead of just like, oh, it's chaos. Like, oh, I'm going to just set them down wherever. Nope. I'm going to go first thing, go put them where I put them. And then I'm going to walk away because that is like one of the things that like Brandon's always looking for my wallet. And I'm like, yep, guilty. I'm actually getting a tile. I got a new wallet just to put a tile in it, like one of those GPSs, so that I can page it all the time. Because that's how bad I am with my wallet.
Wow.
It's so bad. Yeah.
That's so funny.
Yeah. But anyway, yes. So on the other hand, and this is another, like, this is a morbid podcast right now, but my girlfriend, one of my closest friends down in Phoenix, I got a call from her husband about 3 weeks ago on a Sunday. And I was like, he must be butt dialing me. This is weird. Like, but I need to answer it just in case. So I answered it and I was like, hey, and you could tell something was wrong. And I was like, oh my gosh, she died like in a car accident. Something happened. And he's like, so Melissa's had a stroke. And I was like, what? I like literally was speechless. I was like, she's 40. She can't have a stroke. He's like, she got a chiropractic manipulation on her neck, which got a blood clot in her brainstem. And I was like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. Like what? So where are we at? Like, where's she at? What's going on? And he's like, she knows what's going on, but she's heavily medicated. She's lost function in the left side of her body. She is on a feeding tube because she can't eat, because she can't swallow, and she can't walk and all this stuff. And I'm like, I mean, they have a 4-year-old. So it's not like, you know, whether she has kids or not, it's like, holy cow, like she's 40, right? And so like I kept texting and be like, hey, how's it going? You know, and I wasn't getting like a ton of responses from him. Like obviously like he's balancing a kid and his wife in the hospital. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, you know, so I finally got her best friend's number and I was like, let me know what's going on. I want to come down and see her, but I don't want it to be stressful. So she was in the ICU for 2 weeks. I think it was 2 weeks. It might have been a month now that she's been there. Then she got moved to a rehab clinic to try and get her going. And I got a text a couple of days ago and was like, hey, can you get down here soon? She's doing better and she's going to get released home. And I was like, absolutely. So I'm going down there on Saturday, so 2 days from now. And I'm like so nervous of like seeing her and what state she's going to be in, because I like, you know, obviously she's like one of my closest friends. When I was single, she was married at the time. We would go out to drinks every single Wednesday when I lived down there. Like it was like I saw her all the time. She was my neighbor, like all this stuff. And I'm like, and her husband was texting me one day and he's like, I was asking him, I'm like, how are you doing? And he's like, you know, right now the hardest part is like she can't pick up our daughter. She can't dance with her. She can't do any of this stuff. And she's she's 4 years old. And he said, the doctors have told us that at 6 months to a year, that's the point where she'll essentially be frozen in whatever state she ends up in. So like if at 6 months, she's not walking, she probably will never walk for the rest of her life. And I'm like, holy cow. And he was like, and like, that just breaks my heart. Like she can't be a normal, quote unquote, normal mom to her daughter because of this crazy freak accident that happened. And I'm like, so like, I'm a part of me, like they said the doctors have been more optimistic, which is really good. But I also heard the last time I talked to him 2 days ago that she's extremely frustrated with how slow the process has been and how she just wants to get back to normal life. Right. Like she totally like knows what's going on. And like, she knows she's really frustrated that she can't do everything she wants to do, but she is off the feeding tube, which is fantastic. So he said he's almost back to a fully normal diet. So to me, I'm like, oh, she's progressing. This is awesome. Like I'm hopeful, but I'm also like, yeah, like I can't, I don't know what I'm gonna walk into to see, and I'm like, like that's a whole nother component, right? Like the one girl I know passed away, and so she's never there to see all that stuff. And on the other hand, I've got my girlfriend who could be there for all of that, but in a totally different capacity than she ever imagined being a mom. And
Right.
I just, I don't know. Like, not to say which would I rather, like neither, obviously I'd rather be alive and see
No.
them grow and do all the
Yeah.
things, but
Hard when you feel like trapped in your own body, like when you know what
yeah,
it's capable of. And yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And she, like, I've been wanting to text her, and I text her husband. I was like, how's she doing? He was like, she has terrible double vision, so she can't read or watch TV or do anything. I'm like, what is she doing? Like, are you literally just sitting listening to music and podcasts? And what are you doing? That's so
Yeah.
challenging to think about that. And you just hope that goes away, because it's like, will she ever drive again then if you can't see, or you can't, I don't know.
Right.
But anyway,
Well, I hope she gets a good team of doctors, and
yeah.
hope she just keeps her optimism, because, like, yeah, she don't want to give up
Yeah.
on trying. I would say it's sad.
No, right. And that's what,
Yeah.
like, I'm like mentally like, all right, how do I go in there being sympathetic and supportive, but also like rah, let's get this, like, what can I do? How can I help? What is there anything I can, I can keep
Yeah.
you optimistic kind of things, because I want to be there for you in that capacity. Like, so her husband, back in October was her 40th birthday, and he planned this awesome birthday for her. We went to I don't know if they're escape rooms. It's not really an escape room, but they have like 10 different rooms within this building where you go in for 3 minutes and you have to solve the problem. And each room is completely different than all the others. And it was a
Yeah.
blast. And we were like running and jumping and doing all this stuff. And I'm like, I'm so thankful we had that opportunity if she's never able to do that again. But also, like, how, how awesome of a time to be able to do it again, and like to get all of that going. So I just, anyway, it's been a heavy last month of like, I don't feel old enough to be going through somebody dying my age, or somebody, I mean, obviously, like when I was in high school, we lost a few kids to like car accidents or motorcycle
Yeah.
accidents or whatever, and it was horrible. It was awful. I dealt with
Right.
death so horribly when I was a kid, because the first person that I knew that died, I was 6. It was my grandpa, and it was like devastating. And I think about it now because I was 6. I don't remember a thing about him. Not one thing of him like live, other than what people tell us, right? But
Mm-hmm.
even still, like, yeah, I don't remember him at all. And it's just like, I just don't want it to be like that for people I know, or
I
anybody, right? I don't
know.
want anybody to
Yeah.
have to
I
suffer and go
know.
through these things. So anyway.
I feel that, and I worry about, like, when you see your parents getting older, and if you still have grandparents, like, they're definitely
Yeah.
getting older. And our
Yeah.
grandma's almost 90, and it's
Yeah.
just, yeah, it's tough to watch. But yeah, death isn't easy. There was a girl I knew. We have mutual friends, and like there was a couple times that we're like in a group, but it's been years and years and years ago. But her and her husband just got I think she's had the baby in the last couple weeks. So they got pregnant, and I was just seeing all their posts on like Facebook and how excited they were, and putting the nursery together and like all the things. And he died in a car accident a couple weeks ago. It's probably been a month now. But I think someone was driving on the wrong side of the road, and it killed him. And so it was supposed to be this like exciting, joyful time for them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was like crying, and I don't know her like personally, like, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
except the 2 times that we've met. But I was just like crying, just like can't imagine being in the delivery room alone, or with, I mean, you might have your people there, but it's not who you were planning on being
No.
there with. And like now having to raise this baby by yourself, and them never knowing their
Yeah.
parent. So I'm like teary-eyed thinking about it. Like, it's just devastating. And so, like, I don't want, like, can't imagine, don't want to be in that, scenario. And it's just heartbreaking.
there was a part of me growing up that always felt like the nicest people, the best people were the ones who always got sick or bad things always happened to them for some reason. And so like a part of me was like, I don't want to be a nice person because then bad shit happens to you, which is like totally obviously unfounded. Like that's not a thing. But like it's such an amazing thing. And I know people, like, I'm not a religious person at all, but I know how people say, you know, like it is incredible, like the miracle of life and being able to bring these kids into this world. And like, you know, I'm super lucky. I have both of my parents are married. Brandon's parents are married. They're still alive. You know, we're super lucky that we hopefully will get to do this journey together, me and him, and forever, right? Like until whenever the world's gonna come crashing down, or whether, you know, we're old and that's what happens. But
yeah,
it's so hard. And like I think that's why, like, this summer I have a ridiculous vacation schedule. Like we are gone so much, and I'm like, and Brandon's like, why are we doing this much? And I'm like, I want to see it all, just in case it doesn't happen for us. I want you to have all these memories. And he's like, I'm gonna remember us sitting at the dinner table together, the four of us, and like how much fun we're having with the girls at the dinner table together right now, and like that stuff. And I'm like, I too will love that, but I also will love being on our vacations, you know. And it's like, I kind of think ever since I started traveling abroad, like that's kind of how my brain always was like, I want to see it all. I want to see the whole world and what's out there and what there is to offer. And, you know, when COVID happened, we were super lucky we lived where we did because they didn't really shut down. And so we were able to go around and do all these things and then shoot up to Utah and go camping and over to Colorado and go skiing because we could drive to all of these places, right? Like, and I love that. And I love being able to do those things and impart that lifestyle on my kids, that if I don't continue to exist in this world with them, at least I've instilled some values in them that hopefully they'll enjoy. Like Hannah, it's like the coolest thing. I mean, Hannah's 3 years old and she keeps asking to go camping with Michaela. She loves Michaela. She's like, I go camping with Michaela. I'm going to sleep in my sleeping bag and Michaela's going to take me on the quad. And I was like, let's do it. Like, this is awesome. Like, because Hannah, when we get to camping, sleeps horrible and she wants to go home the whole time we're there. So it's funny that she asks to go when she hates it. But like trying to do all of those things, you know, same thing with you guys, right? Like you've taken Weston skiing, you've taken him camping, you've done the things and you want to keep doing the things, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I agree. This boy's been more places than I ever had in like my lifetime.
I know.
Well, so it's like, yeah, no, but I definitely want, I'm the same. I love to travel. I do wish we could travel more like overseas too, but
you'll get there.
I will say it's nice that we're spread out, like our families, so we can go to different places and yeah.
Doesn't stink your in-laws are in Hawaii.
I know. Bummer. I'm already planning a trip there next March. I was like, the baby will be 6 months. And Weston will be at 3. So I'll have to pay for 3 seats and then 6 months wouldn't be too bad. And then if my hopes is like if Ryan gets this job, it's more remote. So I was like, you can work the first week like remote. Then we take 2 weeks off and we'll be there for 3 weeks because it's never enough time.
No.
So
like you said, you let your brain run wild. Brandon went down on a work trip and it was 4 hours away. And the whole time I was like checking his location on the Find My iPhone thing. And I was like, oh my gosh, he stopped on the side of the road. Like, did something happen? Did he get pulled over? Is that iPhone just glitching? And he's like, yeah, no, we didn't stop there. And I was like, okay, like, you know,
it faces up sometimes. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm the same way too.
Oh.
Yeah. Yep.
It's brutal.
I know. I'm that person that's like, oh, I want to go with you. So if something happens, then I'm with you.
I'm with you. I know.
Yeah.
I know.
It's a terrible way to think.
When my parents, I think, went on 2 or 3 vacations my entire childhood together, just the 2 of them. Not many, right? But the 2 times, I think I was in high school when they did, and my mom wrote this long letter to us, like, if we die and da da da, and I found them when
Oh my
she was alive,
God.
like fully alive and enjoying Hawaii, right? Like,
Yeah.
but she was like, I get now why she did that, because that's where my brain goes to. Like, my brain totally goes to those places, and I'm like, oh yeah, I get why you did that. But
Yeah.
Anyway. All right. Well, this was fun. Good brain dump.
Yes.
And thank you for joining us on Mom Jeans, the podcast. We will see you next week. Yeah. Bye.
Bye. And that wraps up another episode of Mom Jeans, trying to fit into motherhood. Thank you again so much for listening to us. And if you enjoyed this podcast, please consider giving us 5 stars so other mothers out there like you can find us and listen. If you would like, you could follow us on any of our socials at Mom Jeans the podcast. If you have questions, would like to send us your birth story, or give us suggestions or things that you would like to hear, please email us at hello@momjeansthepodcast.com. See you next week.